Hello and welcome to Wellness Wednesday. Today we are talking all about anxiety, my top 5 physical reasons why you might be struggling with anxiety, and my strategies to help you deal with it as well. If we haven't met yet, I'm Dr. Alison DiBarto Goggin. I'm a functional medicine physician with Little Black Bag Functional Medicine, and anxiety is a topic that is near and dear to my heart because it's something that I have personally struggled with almost my whole life. And I work with so many women who struggle with this as well. And once we figure out why they're actually having anxiety, we can really dive deep and manage it and feel better with some really easy and simple solutions. Anxiety is multifaceted. There's no one reason, one solution, one supplement that's going to help you. We really do have to figure out what's going to work for you. And it's always a solution that requires many layers. So if you haven't seen yet, make sure you check the description above. I have my anxiety course that is on super sale right now. It's only $23. And you get access to the 23-day program, as well as all of the bonus content. It's a DIY program, but you can upgrade for personal support. And it's one of my favorites. It's one that I've been running multiple times over the past few years. And I think it can be really helpful to help you figure out what's going on with your health. Okay, so let's dive into our top 5 reasons that anxiety might be happening with you. So my number one topic that I always talk about is blood sugar because it's the most common, it's the most effective, and it's the most simple part of our lives as well. So my typical patient, including myself, I'm guilty of this as well, is you wake up, you have a cup of coffee, maybe you have something like a bagel or a muffin, and you get the kids off to school, you get to work, or you start your day, whatever it is going on for you, you're taking care of everything else around you that you pretty much forget to eat. Somewhere around lunchtime, maybe even 2 o'clock, you start getting really hangry and tired, you can't focus, you want to take a nap, so you might grab a snack. And then dinner usually tends to be pretty good with just a little bit of meat, some carbs, some veggies. You feel really good. But by 9 or 10 o'clock, you're starving and you're in the pantry eating fruit snacks, whatever you can get your hands on, because you just can't get enough because you're starving. So this contributes to anxiety because we're relying on our body's hormones like cortisol and adrenaline to create fuel for our body. And over time, that cortisol, norepinephrine, epinephrine, all of those hormones start to cause a feeling of anxiety within our brain and our body. So when we balance the blood sugar, meaning we start eating more consistently, we're eating higher levels of fat, protein, and fiber, that allows our food to fuel our body instead of our hormones. So it does take some time. Of course, every practice takes time, but over time of eating consistently throughout the day, you will notice that 1, you're going to have a lot more energy. 2, you're going to be sleeping better through the night. 3, your anxiety is going to be so much more manageable. My other topic that I like to talk about with blood sugar is that if you have physical or emotional sensations, say anxiety or nervousness, and it seems to happen around the same time every day, make sure that you start eating about 30 minutes before that comes on. So some people might say, oh my gosh, every morning at 10:30, I get really anxious. I can't focus. I get super nervous, shaky. I get hot flashes. It must be my hormones. Well, one of the most simple solutions would be blood sugar. So try eating at like 9:30 or 10 o'clock. Make sure that you're eating breakfast. If you're having symptoms that severe, you might need to cut out caffeine as well, or go down to half cap and figure that out as well. I will link my YouTube video that has all of the information you ever wanted to know about anxiety, blood sugar, and insomnia, and all of the physiology so you can figure out why that's so important. But definitely start with eating breakfast, having some snacks throughout the day. If you're struggling with anxiety and that's your meal plan, intermittent fasting is not for you, and that's okay. It doesn't work for everybody. We have to get your blood sugar stable first. Okay. The next topic, reason number 2 I like to dive into with my patients is progesterone and hormone imbalances. So progesterone works directly on the frontal cortex of our brain and works directly with our emotions. So you might have a progesterone deficiency, you might have estrogen dominance. I do like to do testing to figure out exactly where you are. However, when I have someone fill out their neurotransmitter symptom form and they're like, oh my gosh, I have everything in every category. I feel like I'm falling apart. I can't do anything. A lot of time that's global brain inflammation as well as a hormone issue. And something as simple as some progesterone support can help you move through the emotional part of your hormones and your brain not interacting correctly. Of course, we want to figure out, is there a PCOS issue? Is there something else going on? Is there something with the adrenals? Are you in perimenopause, postmenopause? There's so many specific individual things that we can look at, but progesterone is one of the main ones that I see with anxiety. All right, step 3 is brain trauma, inflammation, and concussions. So I see a lot of people who maybe were in a car accident or were playing sports in high school or were injured when they were a child, and maybe 6 months to a year later, they start to develop depression, anxiety, digestive issues, heart flutters, POTS or SIBO, something like that. And they're like, I don't understand. It either feels like it came on suddenly, and it's really hard to connect to the accident or injury because there's a time where the body is starting to shut down. So it's not that you're playing soccer and you got kicked in the head and then the next day you had IBS. It does take time to develop those things. So I strongly encourage you and my patients to start looking at your history of when things happen, car accidents, traumas, surgeries can be another big one that can cause the brain, the sympathetic nervous system, the vagus nerve to shut down and start causing a lot of problems in the body. Of course, this causes anxiety if your nervous system is either overstimulated, understimulated, or it's in a freeze pattern. So definitely look into the polyvagal theory. That will help you learn all of the techniques that can help calm your nervous system and really bring it into balance, because it's okay for it to go up and down. We want our nervous system to be flexible. If you're dealing with a concussion or a brain injury or brain inflammation, you want to have a neuro exam done. I know almost everybody that I've talked to said, yeah, I had a concussion. They told me everything's fine and just to go on living my life. There's really no treatment or support from the traditional medical field. However, from a functional perspective, we can do a lot with nutrition, with brain exercises. I always do a neuro exam on my patients and then do specific exercises for those brain lobes. The other thing that we talk about with brain injuries, especially in car accidents, is if you have a whiplash and your neck is stretched, that can almost always cause a thyroid problem where the thyroid shuts down because it was injured and can lead to autoimmunity. So that's kind of in the brain injury and the hormone category. So make sure you have your thyroid numbers run as well, so that way you know where you are. Are there any autoimmune issues that might be linked to anxiety as well? So that's also then, I guess, part of number 4, which is our autoimmunity section, because autoimmunity causes havoc in the immune system. As an autoimmune patient myself, I can tell you when my immune system is not functioning the way it should be, my anxiety does go off of the charts. And it's so interesting that because I need immune suppressant medication, whenever I get that, through an IV for me, that next day, that night, I am moody. My anxiety is crazy. And a lot of people will say this. Now, traditionally, we're told, no, these medications don't affect your mood. But everyone else I've talked to has been like, wow, I did have some major mood changes, because our immune system is such an important part of how our body functions, and our brain has its own immune system cells that are really specific for managing inflammation, supporting neurotransmitters, things like that. So autoimmunity is really a huge term that can incorporate many different systems and issues, and we can sit through and name all of them, like lupus or RA or Crohn's or celiac or thyroid issues. But in the end, you still want to make sure that your immune system is balanced and supported in a healthy way. You want to make sure that there's nothing else going on. So have that blood work done. Absolutely. I almost always catch something on an ANA panel, or I like to run autoimmunity for the brain through things like strep, Epstein-Barr, and then numbers for like GAD65 are really important as well to catch these things, because you might be struggling with autoimmunity in your brain and you've been trying all the supplements and nothing is working because you didn't know what was actually going on. So this is why testing is so important as well. Okay, number 5 on my list is nutritional. And I almost hate to say it because I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you're deficient in vitamin B12 and that's causing anxiety. It doesn't necessarily work that way. Now, of course, B vitamins have methyl groups, and methyl groups are the base for our neurotransmitters. So if you do have a deficiency or a genetic change like MTHFR that affects your B vitamins, or intrinsic factor antibodies that might affect your methyl groups, of course, you're going to have struggles with your neurotransmitters. But it could also be iron, it could be magnesium. So sometimes testing can be really helpful. Taking a multivitamin like doTERRA's Lifelong Vitality is really important because it covers all of your bases for you, making sure your digestion is on track so you're actually breaking down the food that you're eating and absorbing it and using it the way that's best for you. And that can be really helpful as well. Now, we did not cover emotional reasons, trauma, abuse, situational, relational, family. There's so much that goes into our mood, energy, spirituality, everything else. And that, I think, is really a great space to talk about that with therapists, with your religious support groups, whoever that you go see. So like I said in the beginning, talking about anxiety is a multi-layered approach. It's never just one thing and then we feel so much better. That would be amazing, right? We have to treat our body as a whole and work on our mental, our emotional, our spiritual, our physical, our nutritional, our genetic health, all at the same time. So I really appreciate you being here. Definitely take advantage of the sale that's going on for the anxiety course. I'm here if you have any questions. You can schedule an initial health consult with me where we'll lay out a plan for you based off of what's going on with you, not just a generic supplement plan or blood work plan. We're going to get you taken care of so you can feel your best and move on with your life. So thanks for tuning in. Make sure to like and subscribe wherever you're watching, and we'll see you next week.